Greetings, everybody. Welcome, welcome to this year's edition of Dreaming the New Earth. As of the stars, so of the earth is this year's theme. And it's a true honor to have you join me here at the end of a year that has been very challenging for so many beings on this planet. And as I said in my email yesterday, my heart goes out to every being on this planet who is currently in suffering. And for all of us, for all of humanity and all of our more than human family, also for our entire planet and beyond. And thank you for joining me on what felt like was very needed for me at this time of year to come together around the cosmic fire and pray together and share wisdom and remember that we are one big family and that we are here in this together and that we are all holding this vision for the new earth. And I am really looking forward to sharing with you all of the conversations that have happened and that have been recorded and are coming out over the next few days. Today, you have a series of conversations around astrology and the cosmic influences that are relevant to this time. Tomorrow, there are wonderful conversations around ancient mythological inspiration for humanity and our ancient ancestral practices and wisdom. On day 3, we have coming back into balance, coming back into wholeness as human beings and in connection with the earth as well. And on day 4, we go deeper into our connection with the earth, with our animal kin, and on day 5, we come back home to our origins and honoring our origins. And today I want to welcome you and introduce this event with a share that I am very passionate about. It's something that is very much intertwined with my personal experience and my personal story. And it has a lot to do with this incredible continent where I was born, where I live, and from where I was taken away and then returned. I left South Africa, where I was born and where I live, when I was young, in my early teens. And as an adult, I returned because there was a very strong call to return to this land, which I only understood much later once I was back here and over the years as certain things have unfolded. So as part of that journey and as part of that story, this event has come into being, Dreaming the New Earth and taking action on what my prayer is and my vision is for our planet and our universe going forward. And it is a time where we come together, as I was saying, to speak our words of prayer, our words of power, to be able to have that kind of influence on the state of the world through our frequency, through what we carry as light beings, as divine beings, and through speaking the wisdom and through speaking the words that we want to use to uplift and to infuse into humanity and our planet. Not speaking of what we want to leave behind, but speaking of what we want to see going forward. And as I was saying, my personal journey has a lot to do with where I am in Afrika, the work that I've been doing over the last 10 to 15 years, and my love and my remembrance of this place and the past lives that I've had in South Africa and also in other parts of Africa. And the share that I have today is called A New Earth Holding the Vision from Africa, because it has become apparent, very clear to me that it has a lot to do with where I am. The life force and the information that was seeking to come forth and to be facilitated through me by gathering the global village of wisdom carriers. And I'm going to share a little bit of some visuals to accompany that share, that story and this presentation that I want to offer today. So let's see. Okay, so yes, the mighty lion, such a powerful being that is so intrinsically connected to this land, and its symbolism and its power is very relevant to what I'm going to be sharing. And today I'm only going to be sharing part of it, part of what I want to share with you during this time that we have together over the next few days. And the next part I will be sharing on the last day, on day 5. So over the last while, what's really come up for me quite strongly is, seeing what is happening on the continent, what is coming to the surface, what is awakening. A question was becoming clear to me, that was, what keys are coming to the surface now for us to remember that have been stored in Africa and in her story and in her mysteries. And I've got that question here for you. And it's based on what I've been seeing, and also from the perspective of, and my experience, but my perspective, and from a position that I've had in certain work that I've been doing over the last, as I said, around 10 to 15 years in the sphere of continental institutions, but also on my own spiritual path. And it's especially a feeling, it's a sense of something that is growing on this continent, a sense of something truly powerful and awe-inspiring that is awakening in and on this land, that is supporting humanity to remember now. More and more people are looking to Africa and to her wisdom. And for me, that is what it means to hold the vision in Africa. It's to understand why so many people are looking to Africa and her wisdom. Why are we doing more and more ancestral work? Why are so many people feeling called to come to Africa, and some travel here on a holiday and end up staying here to live, for example. There are so many cases of people experiencing that, which is quite phenomenal. And you hear these people say, I don't know what it is about Africa, but I just had to come here and now I can't leave, that sort of experience. So the the image that Africa's had in contemporary times, unfortunately, is, and not just the image, but it's a brutal reality that is part of Africa's history and an experience, has so much to do with tragedy and suffering and destruction and extraction and greed and corruption through external forces, and then also internalized oppression, and it's manifested through the people on the continent also perpetuating this tragedy. The horrors of colonialism and of slavery have been incredibly brutal and destructive on this continent. And it is something that feels part of this journey that I'm piecing together and attempting to explain. So it's been associated with, poverty, as I was saying, extraction of the pillaging and raping of the land, hunting our wildlife to extinction, the slavery, the conflict zones everywhere on this continent. I'm attempting to offer a different vision of Africa and a different understanding of her power. So let's go back to the beginnings. It is, sorry, previous slide. It is thought that Homo sapiens first originated in the Horn of Africa region between 200 and 300,000 years ago, around 240,000 years before present, it is believed. During a period called the Middle Stone Age, and then we continued to become anatomically modern, although some newer research suggests that some Homo sapiens were already leaving the continent, leaving Africa around that time, and migrating north into Europe and the rest of the world. And then around 180,000 years ago, our early ancestors became active here on the Southern Cape, which is the south coast of South Africa, where I am. And there is, of course, some big debate around whether, the earliest so-called anatomically modern humans originated in the East African Rift Valley in the Horn of Africa or on the southern coastline of South Africa. And perhaps we're going to, continue to find even older remains that will give us a newer, updated understanding of this timeline. But and this was playing the movement of that migration. If we were to see the southern coast of South Africa as the origins, the oldest origins of humanity, of modern humans, and how we moved up the continent and out northward, and then going around the globe to South America, where you saw the lines end over here. So here's another image that suggests that, with kind of a flattened image of the world. But much more recently, Africa has been home to some of the most incredible and powerful civilizations and empires. To show and mention just a few of them, ancient Egypt needs no introduction. For around 3,000 years, it was a huge empire that became an extraordinary epicenter of culture, of science and magic, all intertwined with one another. And it's perhaps, well, it is the most well-known around the world. And unfortunately, it seems that perhaps outside of Africa, it is more associated with the Middle East and disconnected from, or seen, disconnected from being seen as Africa. But it is in Africa. And perhaps that has been a deliberate disconnection, or disinformation leading to the understanding of Egypt as African. There is the kingdom of Kush that was from the year more or less 1070 BCE to around 350 AD. And this is an ancient kingdom in Nubia, which is the southern part of Egypt and what is now northern Sudan. We have the kingdom of Aksum, from around 400 BCE to 940 AD. And this covered East Africa and South Arabia, as you can see in the little map, and what is now northern Ethiopia and Eritrea, as well as present-day Djibouti and Sudan. We have also the Mali Empire, that is, it was from around 1235 to 1670, and associated to the Mali Empire is the king Sundiata Keita, who was known as the Lion King of Mali, and was, they say, the wealthiest man in the world at one point. There's the Empire of Benin from 1440 to 1897, also in West Africa. It's in this region here. There is the Zulu Kingdom from 1816 to 1897. You may have heard of King Shaka, who was the ruler of the Zulu nation during this period, part of this period. And that is in South Africa. This is the east coast of South Africa. And there was the Kingdom of Dahomey from 1600 to 1904, also in West Africa, near the region of where Benin is, and Mali as well. And the Kingdom of Dahomey was known for its all-female military regiment. They were a powerful force of all women soldiers. And we have the Empire of Ethiopia from 1270 to 1974. You may have heard of, well, perhaps the most well-known name associated with this kingdom in contemporary times is Emperor Haile Selassie. So these are just some of the incredible kingdoms, empires, civilizations of this continent that are hardly known in the rest of, even actually in Africa, but especially outside of Africa. And I truly believe that this is a time for humanity, and so much so for Africa, to be reclaiming her heritage, for modern day Africans to be reclaiming their heritage and the power of the wisdom that is held in the cultures and the land of this place. As you've seen, it's a very different picture to what so many associate with Africa or see Africa to be. And this, I truly believe, as I was saying, is Africa's time. I see an awe-inspiring continent of ancient power and timeless wisdom, and modern day Africans that are beginning to claim this heritage, that are proud of this heritage, and beginning to, not so recently, in for quite some time now, but bringing the truth to light, and Africans claiming their heritage, people returning to Africa or being drawn to Africa, as I was saying earlier as well, because of our most ancient origins and our past life experiences, I believe, and humanity remembering who we are and where we came from. So as we were seeing before, this is that image of the migration from the beginning, from the birth of humanity, leaving Africa, going north up the continent and then out into the rest of the world. And I wanted to share with you a prophecy that is taught in the Andean tradition, in other words, from the Andes region of South America. And that is that there would come a time when humanity and all of the wisdom that it had learned and experienced, and everything that it had created and destroyed as well, but all of its experience as a humanity would return to the origins of where we originated as a species, and that is to South Africa, according to the Andean prophecy. The ancient Andeans received the teaching that our origins began in the Pleiades, or Kolka in Quechua, with our star elders traveling from there through the Southern Cross, Urkuchiyai, and Venus, Chaska, and arriving in the Southern Hemisphere, landing first in Southern Africa. One of my teachers, my teacher in the Andean spiritual tradition, when he came here for the first time, he saw it and told us the story of how the Pleiadians arrived here first, and then humanity originated from there. So this is not the conventional information that you will find out there in terms of the origin of humanity, but it is also part of our collective experience and the information that is coming to light in these times. And this prophecy was explained as the serpent going around the entire planet and returning to South Africa, the origin of where the origins of humanity are, and biting its tail again. In other words, the Ouroboros, the serpent that goes out, does a full circle and comes back and bites its tail. And I decided to use a dragon because for me they're very much the same, and it's the end of the dragon year that we are coming to. And there's another aspect to it as well that will be part of the second part of this presentation. So here is a summary of what I just shared about according to the ancient teachings of the Andes, our origins being Pleiadian and being seeded and beginning here for the first time. And this reminded me of a quote from Bringers of the Dawn, which is it's a book, Bringers of the Dawn, Teachings from the Pleiadians, channeled by Barbara Marciniak, the teachings of the Pleiadians as channeled by her. And that quote is something that it's a quote that stayed with me. It stayed with me since I read the book many years ago. And it was, Prime Creator said to these extensions of itself, go out and create and bring all things back to me. In other words, Prime Creator was saying, I'm going to gift you of myself. You go out and gift of yourselves freely so that all you create in this universe can understand its essence as my identity. So it reminded me of this quote, and when I read the quote again as I'm creating this presentation, it sparked an understanding of a different understanding, a broader understanding of this time in terms of this prophecy and the return of humanity and its experience throughout this time to this place. And these are pieces of a puzzle that have been coming together for me over the last number of years as I've received certain information and remembrance of past life experiences and my current calling and mission. So then another question came up for me, and that was, could it be that beginning our journey in Africa and the difficult history of this land symbolize the journey of alchemy in the greater scheme of our experience here on Earth. In other words, something like a hero's journey, going through a very difficult time, extremely brutally difficult, carrying so much on this continent, and coming to a time where all of that is coming to a huge time of change. And it is through the extreme trials of life that, we find that alchemical gold and that diamonds are cultivated. And when things are at their darkest, we can really cultivate faith if we truly understand what we are going through. So can we allow life to alchemize the wounds that we have experienced and allow what has broken us to open us up to change, to awakening, to expansion? In any case, wherever the birthplace of modern humans lies, there are 3 points that are significant in the earliest history of Africa in broad terms. We speak in broad terms. There's Egypt, there's the East African Rift Valley, which is around the equator, and then the southern tip of South Africa. So one of the key aspects that I want to share about in this presentation is this meridian that goes all the way through Africa and the rest of the planet. But on this continent, it goes through some incredibly powerful ancient sites that are associated with some of them you will certainly have heard of, and some others perhaps not. You have them listed here on this image. And these sites are also very much connected to the lion and the eagle. Some of them to the lion, some of them to the eagle or the hawk. In ancient times, they were sometimes, seen as the same creature. The words were used interchangeably, eagle and hawk. Horus being the hawk of ancient Egypt. And then we have also the hybrid creature, which is a hybrid between a lion and an eagle, which is the griffin. And I will elaborate more on this in the second part of the presentation, because what I was saying around these 3 points that I mentioned that are significant in our earliest history are, as I was saying, Egypt, the equator, the origins of humanity being associated with this part of Africa, and also down in South Africa on the southern coast. So I'm going to leave it at that for now, and I look forward to sharing more about this with you as I piece together all of the information that I've been receiving over some time. So thank you again for being part of this beautiful gathering, and I look forward to seeing you shortly in the other presentations. Much love.